Hi guys, it's Amy, your golf coach. Welcome to Beginner Series Level 2. Today we're going to talk about the left wrist bow at impact. This is an epic question I get from you guys a lot, whether wrist should be bowed at impact, should it be flat, or should you roll your wrist through? Let's break it down and really talk about how your wrist should work. A couple lessons ago in my release video, I purposely didn't focus on the hands and we focused more on the club face orientation. But in this one, we'll talk about which hands to use during the swing, which is linked to my core dex theory, which I have the whole series ready on my website mpswing.com. If you're interested in learning how to use your core and trail hand to compress that golf ball with more power, less effort, and less injuries to your body, please go check it out. Become a member, become a happy golfing family with me. Let's talk about that wrist bow at impact. Let's get started. When we start talking about the wrist bow at impact, there's really two things that come into effect. Number one is the technical preference. For example, there are still a few tour players that prefer to lead the swing with the left hand. That's more of a classical way of swinging, but more and more golfers are starting to use the palm trail index to control their compression and the club face orientation at impact. So it's really technical preference there. And number two is the physical ability. For example, I have tried to roll the wrist, bow the wrist at impact. I've tried so many different drills to try and get that to happen. But I used to hurt my wrist, injure my wrist so often. So through a lot of trial and error, I have come to realize that if your left forearm, wrist joint, and your grip pressure are not strong enough, or your shoulder, my shoulders are pretty strong so they don't come into effect, but if you are pretty weak in here, then you will not be able to take the bowing at impact. There's just too much pressure and you're gonna end up hurting your wrist over and over and over. And when I do an exaggerated hold off position too much, I'm out of commission for a couple of weeks. So during my swing, you can tell that my left wrist is closer to being flat, but that's the most amount of compression I can give it without hurting myself. So there's that physical limitations now you guys understand. Usually when it comes to the impact and the bowing of the left wrist, I emphasize on the trail hand. If the trail hand compresses really well, then the left hand is kind of on there that follows suit. But because of my physical limitations, I probably compressed it to here and then goes over that way. So you understand that my way of compressing the golf ball is using the trail hand. But now your question is, how much to use which hand during the golf swing, right? If you are an advanced player that's used to using the left hand to lead the swing, or if you're left-handed, dominant left hand, and you play right-handed, I would not necessarily make that major change to use the right hand for the compression, except I will teach you the concept of this trail hand movement. And once they understand how the trail hand kind of works, they incorporate it into their lead hands action, and it works out actually pretty great. They end up gaining more control over that compression, which is fantastic. Or if you are a beginner or you don't have a preference in hands, or maybe you've learned to lead the swing with the left hand, but you've never really been consistent or good at it, those kind of golfers, I teach them how to control with the trail hand. Once they start understanding the trail hand being their dominant hand as well, they start hitting it so much better with ease and more control over their club face. I usually see a dramatic improvement. Whether you fall into the first category or the second, I'm going to show you how you should use your trail hand so that way you can incorporate into your swing and gain more control over that compression, and then you will find out whether you're bowing or being flat at impact. For this Aimee drill, all you need is a sponge ball and Ta-da! This is actually a cover for my MacBook. I took it off to show you guys. You can actually take a clipboard or any plain wooden board. I didn't want to use a racket because I wanted your fingers to be on like this to really feel how your trail hand supports the board. Makes sense, right? So we're just going to hit some with the board like this. And really feel the support with the fingers in the back. That's what you're doing with the shots. You're supporting the back of the club face so it doesn't move around. That's what your trail hand is doing. So this movement, this hitting, we're gonna now transfer it into your golf club. This is your club and this is your board. Parallel, right? And you're going to go ahead and place it, ta-da, like this. So it's like supporting the club face at impact, right? Except we're gonna take a grip this way. Support the club face from moving around. It be the index that's compressing the golf ball. If you need more help with the grip part, you can go back and refer to my grip lesson on my beginner series level 1. Once you find the placement, let's go ahead and go into the impact and really try and dig that head into the ground so you feel the index supporting the back of the club. Small chip shots and then work your way up to the full swing. I hope you're able to follow along. We took a slightly different angle of approach and talked about the trail hands for the left wrist bow, but I'm sure it made a lot of sense that the trail hand compression can really affect what happens over here. So it's not really about whether you use 100% left hand or the right hand. These two need to work together to create that compression. If you're not that great with the left hand, since it's not your dominant hand, like myself, I use a lot of my dominant hand to get that club face compressing at impact. There's really no right or wrong way. You can use the left as the leading hand and use the trail as an assistant as long as you understand the concept of it, or vice versa. So I hope it made a lot of sense. If you have any questions, please come to my website, to Ask Aimee section. I check those questions before anywhere else. In the next lesson, I'll be talking about the rehinge of the club, which is a very important part of the swing. Even though you've already made contact with the golf ball, what happens after does affect your ball flight and performance of it. So tune in to figure out exactly what you need to do in the rehinge area here. Look forward to that. Thanks for golfing with me. See you in the next one. Mwah.